pick here, Jamie decided to select Wakamatsu Kosuke, center from 2 Academy. Not surprised there. We knew that Jamie was likely to take a center. I still think he probably should have taken Wakamatsu in the round previously. I think he might be a little lucky that he's still available. Nonetheless, good pick there by Jamie. Moving right along, Zeman with his third pick in the 5th round, we have Hayakawa, power forward from Kaijo. A good pick here, another guy who can go up and get boards and support Miri Sakabara on the rebound side of things. Hayakawa is a guy you don't necessarily expect too much of out on the offensive side of things. So having him be able to kind of roam the court, do what he can, get offensive boards where he can, just kind of do what he can and be that role player is all you need from him. I think it's nice that he was picked up here in the 5th round for Zeman. Really fills out that position that Zeman needed. Personally, I think of all the players that were left, Hayakawa was the smartest choice here for Zeman. Moving ahead, 4th pick here in the 5th round, Ballin decided to select Sakurai Ryo, shooting guard from 2 Academy. Now I've had 3 members of 2 Academy selected here in the 5th round. Sakurai's not a bad choice. Lot of shooters here on Ballin's team already. We've got Mitarima from the 3. We know Sakurai can shoot from the 3, so I think that's where Ballin is actually trying to overload that 3-point. Izaki, another member that could potentially shoot the 3 ball. If he's able to pillage another team's ace or the another team's star shooter, could potentially have 3 guys who are lethal from behind the arc. Personally, I don't know if I would have looked at drafting Sakurai there for Ballin. Smart choice though. The more I look at it, the more I do like that choice. Really could probably have Mitarima play the 3 with the height that he's got. So not too much of an issue of having Sakurai and Mitarima on the court at the same time. Moving along to the 5th pick here in the 5th round, Shadow decided to select Moriyama Yoshitaka, shooting guard from Kaijo High. He's a veteran shooting guard. We know what he's going to bring to the table. Good shooter to really fill out that team for Shadow. Couple guys from Kaijo there. We've got Kisei and Moriyama, so we know that chemistry is going to work well. Interesting to see who Shadow is going to pick up here in the 6th round to round out their team. Lastly, 2 final picks. Kuroko Play decides to take Miyagi Kiyoshi, small forward from Shutoku High. We know Miyagi has played for a powerhouse like Shutoku. Miyagi played there before Mitarima was even there, so we know Miyagi can hold his own. Good pick there. Don't know if Kuroko Play is planning on having Miyagi come off the bench or be a starter. It's all going to depend on who Kuroko Play takes in this back-to-back pick to open up the 6th round and end Kuroko Play's draft. We'll go ahead and skip right past the team so far, which is one more round left. Let's get right into it and take a look at the teams at the end. So Kuroko Play just decided to take Miyagi Kiyoshi from Shutoku, ends his draft by taking Mitobi Rinosuke, center from Serene. Not a bad pick here. Another big man to back up his Kagami and Kiyoshi stack. Got 3 big men all from Serene. With Kiyoshi's ball handling and his ball distribution ability, could potentially even run these 3 guys on the court at the same time. Obviously, we wouldn't want Kiyoshi bringing the ball up every single time, so you'd probably put a designated point guard out there with him. But I would be interested to see a lineup with these 3 guys in it at the same time. Second pick here in the last round, Shadow decided to take Kobayashi Keisuke, point guard and ace of Onita High. Now, we don't know too much about Kobayashi. This is the round that you'd want to pick him in. I think this is the 6th round, and this is the round where you'd want to take those guys that you're taking just based off potential. Kobayashi is a guy that you're taking based off potential. Not a bad pick here by Shadow, though he does have a couple guys on his team that you're already looking at developing. So I don't know if you would want to take another guy you'd have to look at developing. You already have Kisei and Wei Lu. You're adding a 3rd guy now that you're taking just based off potential. So a lot of those guys can be hit or miss. Even if you hit on 50% of the guys, only 1 or 2 of these guys would really stick and reach their full potential. Moving right along, we got Ballin with their final pick, Papa Mbaye Siki, center and big man from Shinkyo Academy. Not a bad pick here. Papa is one of the tallest players in the universe. I think he's right there at the fourth or fifth tallest spot. So drafting him, you're able to put him in at the 4 or the 5 position. You've got Otsubo down there, so you'd maybe move Otsubo to the 4. We know Otsubo can score on most centers, so moving Otsubo to the 4, I think he'd do well at the 4 position as well. Allowing Papa to play the 5 wouldn't need much from Papa. Papa was able to carry his team. Obviously, the team really only fed the ball to Papa. In this lineup, you really might not need Papa to do anything but just be tall, be out there, get boards. Obviously, down low like that, you're bound to get a couple offensive rebounds and just put them right back up. Not a bad pick here by Ballin. Alrighty, to end their draft, Zeman decided to take, wow, Kogani Shinji from Serene High. I'm sure many of you out there might not even know who Kogani is. He is actually only one of the background characters of Serene. He's actually not even up on my cheat sheet or my board. I didn't think he would have been drafted, so I don't even have him up on my cheat sheet. That is a surprising pick. I don't know much about his potential, I'll be honest. I'm not sure if Zeman knows something we don't. Obviously, Kogani was on that Serene team, so he certainly knows about a championship winning team. He's certainly been around that culture. Obviously, the 6th round is the time you're going to make those picks you might not necessarily have wanted to have made. You might just be taking on, a hunch or something like that. Zeman obviously has a hunch here, but I'm still surprised to see that pick. And with the 5th pick to end their draft, Jamie decided to take Kabori Koji, center from Kaijo High. Jamie goes back-to-back big men, takes Wakamatsu and then Kabori here. Interesting way to end the draft, waiting until the 5th and 6th round to get your big men. Not necessarily a bad plan. Both these big men are decent. However, looking at the rest of the big men throughout the league, these guys are clearly on the lower end of skill level. Obviously, Jamie has Iomin already, so just getting big men to further support him on defense might be the smart play here. We'll have to see how it plays out and how the voting goes. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, to end the draft, Yoshi selects Nakamura Shinya, shooting guard from Kaijo High. Not surprised that pick. Yoshi did need another shooter. Nakamura is a good shooter. He is still young, still has a lot of time to develop that shot. I think Yoshi is smart here to take Nakamura, though. Once again, 6th round is where you're going to really pick those players that you're picking strictly for potential. Nakamura is a guy that you pick for potential. So good pick by here, Yoshi. End the round. Let's go ahead, get into the next slide, and look at all these teams lined up together. There you have it, folks. 6 drafters, 6 rounds, 36 total players, and we're walking away with 6 teams to look at. Honestly, I think the separation between the top team and the bottom team is a lot closer than we might actually think. I think if you actually were putting these 6 teams on the court, I think a lot of these teams might be able to pull out some upsets. So the teams you might see on paper that you might think are the best, I think honestly any of these teams could walk away with a win on any given day. A few interesting key points though. Yoshi had Akashi plus 3 other members of Rakuten High School. The most players by one individual team was Yoshi, who had 4 Rakuten players. However, Serene High had 7 total members drafted. 1 by Jamie, which was Suzuki, 3 by Zeman, and 3 by Kuroko Play. The most by far any team. I was surprised. I thought potentially 5, maybe 6 people were going to get drafted by Serene. Surprised, obviously, to see that Kogani got drafted there in the last round. Obviously, Azuki as well. I wouldn't have been surprised if he didn't get taken, but also not necessarily surprised that he did get taken. And lastly, every high school other than Josei and Nakamiya South had a player selected. Josei actually had a player selected in the last draft, their center Narume Daisuke. However, obviously in this draft he did not get selected. So unfortunately, Josei and Nakamiya were left off the board this draft. Looking at all the teams here, I'm most impressed with the defensive possibilities of Zeman's and Kuroko's plays teams. Miri Sakabara being able to be paired up with Kasamatsu, Hyuga, and Kuroko, they can all hold their own on the defensive end. Obviously, this is no Yosin team. I don't expect there to be necessarily any shutouts out there. However, I think Zeman's team and Kuroko's team have the most interesting and potentially the best defensive teams out there. Offensively speaking, I think Ballin is just in a league of their own compared to the other teams. Offensively speaking, you have Midorima, you have Haizaki, and you have Otsubo, all offensive aces in their own right. Sakurai is a great backup, great shooter from the three-point line. I think the stack of Takao and Midorima is unbelievable. You really have to respect Midorima and Takao pretty much full court, manning those guys from full court, really spaces the floor more than anyone else out there. The gravity that Midorima brings is Steph Curry level. So having guys like Sakurai who can just sit on the three-point line, wait for Midorima to get doubled, boom, open three. I think Ballin as a team is above any other team. However, it is not up to me. It is up to the members of the r/Kurokosbasketball subreddit. We'll get into the actual winners of the draft, but this is just a few awards I wanted to award myself. First award I don't think is surprising at all, even though it is the most surprising pick award. I do believe that goes to the Kogani Shinji pick, the 6th round pick by Zeman. I think Kogani was just a surprising pick. It was a surprising pick to me, so surprising I didn't have him on my board at all. I don't think it was necessarily a bad pick, just a surprising pick. No disrespect to Zeman there at all. I think he had a great team. I personally was just surprised that Kogani actually got selected in this draft. Moving along to the biggest reach award, I did say it a little bit when I was talking about this player during the draft, but it was Wei Lu in the 4th round. I think if Wei Lu would have been picked in the 5th round, it wouldn't have necessarily been that big of a reach, but he was the 2nd pick in the 4th round. I personally had Wei Lu ranked at 27th, but he was selected 20th overall, so definitely selected at least a full round early compared to my rankings. And the best value pick, I hinted at this a little bit earlier. I thought the best value pick would have been Takao by Ballin in the 4th round, but it went to Susa Yoshinori by Yoshi in the 5th round. Susa is on par with the average ace of an average high school, so I think getting to pick up potentially an ace in the 5th round is the best value you can get out there. Pairing up a guy like Susa with the other 4 members of Rakuzan, I think is the absolute best possible outcome that could have happened for Yoshi. So that is why my pick goes to Susa Yoshinori in the 5th round. Alrighty, what we've all been waiting for, the final votes, the final breakdown of the points. Just one more time how it happened. People on the subreddit r/Kurokosbasketball voted for their top 3 favorite teams. A first place vote was worth 3 points, second place vote worth 2 points, and a third place vote worth 1 point. The winner is determined by total points, most cumulative points and not necessarily most first place votes. So let's get into it. In third place, with 31 total points, was Kuroko Play. In second place, 34 total points, was Ballin. And your winner of the second ever Phil Matush KNB draft was Yoshi with 38 total points. Incredibly close race here, ladies and gentlemen. Actually came right down to the wire. By the time I stopped counting votes last night, I woke up this morning and had a completely different arrangement of 1, 2, and 3. Went to bed last night and Kuroko Play was tied for 3rd with someone else, and Yoshi and Ballin were a lot closer, separated by just 1 point. Woke up this morning, Yoshi was able to separate that lead by 4 points, and Kuroko Play was able to pull away and become the lone leader for 3rd place. Unbelievable round of drafting by Yoshi, Ballin, Kuroko Play, and all of the participants. I want to thank everyone who did participate in the draft, who participated in the discussion, and who participated in the voting. We had 27 total votes. Here's actually a little breakdown of the voting. 27 total votes, so thank you for everyone who wanted to participate. If you applied but didn't get chosen, apply again for the future. I promise you will get picked eventually. And thank you once again for everyone. If you are watching this video and you are not a part of the r/Kurokosbasketball subreddit, I'd recommend heading over there if you're a fan of the show, or if you're a fan of basketball in general and just looking for a more lighthearted take on the sport. Head over there, check it out. That's where most of my posts go. I don't post too much on YouTube, so head over to the r/Kurokosbasketball subreddit. That's actually where I post the applications. If you're hoping to be in a future draft, be on the lookout for one of those draft applications over in the subreddit.